Hey folks, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today, Nerdarchy looks into the darkness, and something looks back. Behold, as we make a shadowy version of this monster. We're going to start this video by thanking our sponsor, Easy Roller Dice, for all your dice rolling needs, whether your first set of dice or your 1 millionth set of dice. Easy Roller Dice. Down in the description below, you can find a special link, easyrollerdice.com/nerdarchy, as well as a one-time coupon code for a whopping 20% off. Go grab yourself a set of Easy Roller Dice.
All right, so today we're going to do a little bit of fast and dirty, a little bit of monster mix-up, mash-up, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to make a Shadow Beholder.
Yeah, we were asked on social media about, hey, how would you incorporate traits from the plane of shadow into a beholder type creature? And the thing about beholders is, each one is technically unique in its own way, even though it's got like the shared block. So I feel like this is a really easy monster conceptually to come about, because the way beholders are kind of made is by dreaming about themselves or other beholders, and they can kind of dream another beholder into existence.
Their thoughts, their dreams really do have the ability to be powerful enough to craft a whole other being into an existence. And if they're near the Shadowfell,
in the
Shadowfell, it could very easily be twisted and changed. And while 5th edition doesn't have a lot of templates to really mock up and change your monsters the way 3rd edition did, I just feel beholders have this affinity to be able to just say, you know what, I'm going to give them something different, look-wise, power-wise, and it's easy enough to do.
Yeah, so there's essentially 3 places we went when kind of like trying to figure out how we were going to workshop a shadow beholder. And we haven't completely workshopped everything. We're going to do a lot of that right in this video, but we did want to look at some things for inspiration. And with that, there's a shadow demon, there's a shadow template for dragons, and there is also the shadow monster.
Right. Now, the shadow by itself, it's a very weak undead. Its special power is a strength drain. And if you die by it and you're a non-evil humanoid, you have the ability to come back as a shadow. So this could be something that gets incorporated into one of the eye rays if you really wanted to go down that road. The Shadow Dragon template just winds up twisting the dragon into a more dark necrotic creature. So you wind up changing any elemental damage into necrotic. It's got the ability to hide as a bonus action. It gets expertise in stealth, and it's got disadvantage on attacks and wisdom perception checks in direct sunlight.
Yeah, sunlight sensitivity. They
Right.
end up with that as well. But I believe both the shadow and the shadow demon end up with vulnerability to radiant. The shadow definitely does.
Right.
And so from the template dragon and also the other 2 monsters, they also have some other common denominators, and one of those is being they get resistance to necrotic damage. So that becomes a no-brainer. If our beholder is a shadow beholder, it should probably be resistant to that. You might incorporate the shadow's ability to strength drain into the bite, which would make it kind of nasty and wicked as well.
Beholders don't typically bite though. Like
they have a bite attack.
They have one, but come on, they want to use a bite or they want to use an eye ray.
Oh, you want to use an eye ray, but if the opportunity to bite comes up, you might use it. It might even be in their legendary actions. Nah, they're just using eye rays. Never mind.
Yep, beholders are fun. They do have a bite. It does 46 points of damage. That's 4 die 6, not 46.
Yeah.
So you could do it that way.
What if they want to make more shadows?
I would imagine this is something that you'd have the ability to have this character or have this monster having a horde of shadows at its beck and command, which would make the encounter that much more insidious. Because let's face it, they might be weak, but they're gonna hit, and they've got the ability to drain strength. And it doesn't matter how many hit points you've got. If you've got an 8 strength, you could be done in 2 hits.
Well, that's true. So I guess the main thing about the beholder is the fact that it has its eye rays and a central eye that also will shut down magic. Now there are different versions of the beholder, so you can swap these things out easy enough. And personally, I like the idea of the shadow itself or the beholder itself being kind of made of shadow stuff, right? As opposed to being a physical monster, make it incorporeal. It's this of Morpheus floating blob of darkness with the tendrils that come off of it, with the glowing red eyes. Maybe it does have the large central eye.
So I would say like it's got tentacles or tendrils, coming off of it. These wisps of black shadow, darkening the dark areas that are already there. But as you were saying, like you could have some of them that possess these glowing red orbs. That those are the eye stalks, but there's not all of these tendrils are eye stalks. So like you could be like, oh well, where is the eye stalk? Where isn't the eye stalk? So you could kind of have a little bit of fun with the description of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun ways to do it visually. In my mind, and this is my opinion, is I kind of like the idea of having the eye stalks where they're supposed to be, like the shadow tendrils, right? But then having them kind of almost like all over, almost like a mane, and then you have the maw itself with the sharp pointy teeth, and I like the idea of shadow stuff, almost like drool, kind of like stranding from top to bottom. You have the one large central eye. It's classic beholder. I would keep that, and maybe that blazes with color when it's emotional or angry.
So like we talked about we all know that the beholder central eye typically emits this cone of anti magic. Well, what if part of this challenge is, and we've recently, seen here on one of our games, the issues of darkness. What if its cone was just an area of magical darkness, and this thing has the ability to see in that?
Yeah, I would give it like a devil sight ability through its central eye, essentially, like the warlock can get. And then instead of the cone being darkness itself, I might go with the idea that it just has a radius of darkness and a very large radius. Like to me, my way of thinking, at least 60 feet. So,
So
at the from the center.
So if you go with that idea, like perhaps this concept, you never actually see what it looks like because there's darkness around. It can see just fine, but
Well, I only say describe it because in theory, you're right. Like you would never really see it unless you encounter a warlock with dark devil sight,
that's true.
or someone is able to dispel the darkness around it. And I would say like a daylight spell would probably do that, have that
Yeah.
effect. Also, there's things like sunbeam and things like that. So we might build in ways to actually muck with it and mess with it.
So maybe if it takes radiant damage, it shuts down that darkness for a turn.
That could be a good possibility as well, and that would be a mitigating factor because it's kind of a strong ability. It's not as strong as the anti magic cone, but that's okay because I would steal from the Death Tyrant because I really like the idea of it having shadows and raising shadows, so that anything that dies in its that 150-foot cone will then be raised as a shadow under its control.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think that'll work. That'd be a way to go. It's incorporeal vulnerability to radiant damage, and like we said, that also causes other complications and problems. The eye rays, you can go with just the standard eye rays for the beholder. Some of them are already pretty thematic anyway, or you can tweak them out so they're all like necrotic damage, or they make you think of shadow and darkness, or maybe even illusion. And again, it's a beholder, so like it has that going for it. I mean, we really are strapping on abilities from weaker monsters anyway, like CR half, CR4. The templates in fifth edition, they don't actually add anything to the CR per se.
They're just
The
like
challenge.
that's a little bit more challenging. We modify this and that, so like it. I don't think it's really adding anything there. But I mean, you give this thing the ability to go incorporeal and move into the walls, and now you've got this devastating beholder that's got the ability to do some new tactics.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like, oh my god, yeah, we can see. Oh, wait a minute, where'd it go? Because it just went through the ceiling or the floor or something, and then it comes up behind you, and you're in darkness again.
Yeah, I think you can have a lot of fun with it. You know, I would want to change up some of the eye rays and make some things that are a little bit thematic and creepy. Maybe change of large black tentacles to still have the same effect, but the tentacles are all shadowy, wispy stuff, so it has the ability to modify the terrain more to its liking as well.
Well, and that is also a spell that it doesn't typically get. So you could look at that, and also in Volo's Guide to Monsters, it does offer up some alternatives for the eye rays, depending what they are. So this way you can kind of gauge what's the appropriate power level. So you could look at that, and that's what I would do. I would look at those, and I would see what is going to be the most appropriate to keep this beholder where I want it to be. Now, I would probably maybe say, okay, we're going to add these other abilities and change it. This might increase the challenge rating or the challenge by maybe 1.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I wouldn't say any more than that.
I would agree.
Taking away that the anti-magic cone is kind of a big deal. But at the same time, we're giving it some other abilities. It's probably going to have a lot of minions. That's going to have to get factored in. Just the fact that it can make minions. If it does down any of the players, the monster now is much more of a fatal encounter because if you die in front of the beholder, now your party could be raised as shadows to have to fight you as well. These become issues and problems for sure.
So now, when you get a monster like this that you've gone and created something so unique, you have to look at the ecology of it as well. You don't want to just be like, I'm going to insert this here. Think of like what kind of lair does something like this have. Make this really be a standout, important encounter for your party, for your table. So have some build up to it. Maybe it's gone and is taking over territory and nothing can deal with it because it blasts its powers and disappears into the wall. So like things become terrified of it. It's got maybe other things in the Underdark or above wherever it's operating that are terrified of it because of all of the death that it's causing.
Well, the other big thing to take into consideration is a beholder's lair typically moves in 360, because of their ability to fly, and they have lots of connecting chambers, and they're going to have chambers for their followers or slaves, if you would. But this is unique in the sense that it could have chambers that there's no access to because it just literally just goes through the walls.
Right.
Now, granted, because of their limited movement, the walls can only be, like probably about 35, 40 feet thick in order for them to get through them. But it will create some areas that the beholder has that might be hard for the players to get to. It also might have false chambers as well where they're traps. And, the tricky part is the best trap is the one you have to work really hard to put yourself into. Because, then you've used some resources to get in there. Then you have to deal with the trap itself. And then it's like the beholder's like, aha, I don't actually do anything over there anyway. I just like to scry there and watch stupid adventurers die.
So you could have a lot of fun just planning all of that out. So I would do those steps. Make sure that this is going to be a memorable encounter for your fellow adventurers.
Yeah, it should be it should actually be a whole adventure, or maybe even a series of sessions to get through it. The question is, what do you think? Would you use this in your game? Do you think we've appropriately added the shadow to this beholder? We got a place where we can talk about it. That is down in the comments below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
While you're down there, don't forget to check out the link to Easy Roller Dice and use that promo code.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.